With us on Infra TV show is none other than Professor Iyer, the renowned author of the path-breaking books India BRANDished, Bhutan BRANDished, Atal Shastra and Powering in Crisis. He is also the editor-in-chief and founder publishers for Marconomy, Inertia, as well as the Defense and Marine Biz. He is also the president of the non-profit bodies Marconomy Foundation and REPA, that is Renewable Energy Promotion Association.
Namaskar and wonderful day and wonderful time for all of you in India and everywhere in the world, my friends.
Professor, our first question goes, what is your opinion on the current situation of India?
See, being an author of the book, as Tyagarajan has just introduced me, being the author of the book India BRANDished, and where I have actually in 2003 itself, I had said that we would be a superpower, and this superpowering of Brand India, the timeline was 2022. Two wonderful books came at the time, parallel to my book, and the first one was Dr. Abdul Kalam's India 2020, and another one was more of a corporate book from Bhushan Das, India Unbound. So the three books are contemporaries, and India BRANDished has done 4 rounds, more than 10,000 copies, and we are in a digital version right now. And there, what I've talked about is the timeline of 2022 was critical, but a lot of things have happened in the meanwhile. While we say, in fact, if you look at the whole thing, we should have been a superpower economy right in 2012. So that was like an opportunity lost at the time, for the simple reason that we made the same economic blunders. We did not handle the economy properly under then government led by Dr. Manmohan Singh of the UPA. First round was, I think, even the first 5 years of the UPA won. What had happened the first 3 years, which came from Vajpayee's era, and that momentum was kept. Vajpayee ji lost the election in 2004, but the Manmohan Singh government beyond that up to 2007, it was okay. The 4 to 7 period was fine. But what started sliding down is 2008. And we saw that entire thing went forward, and we were in a situation where we saw a lot of corruption, we saw a lot of lack of traction in the economy, we went into the ideas of policy paralysis, and so many issues had come in forward, and the resulting, I would say, kind of a situation where there was a negativity, right, resulted in the literally economic situation which brought the UPA down. And we saw that Narendra Modi ji, who had actually done well with Gujarat amongst the many chief ministers, and Gujarat has done reasonably well at that time economically, and that resulted in a kind of a faith repost. And 2014 I had predicted, and we had written our editorial 2013. No publication in the world had done that, and 2013 cover in Marconomy journal was clear that our next Prime Minister would be Narendra Modi. That was August 2013, we talked about it. And there was a very plain analysis of the situation. And that exactly happened. 2014 it happened. Then we have seen a path where until 2016 again, I would say roughly up to the October, when in the September we had this surgical strike across the border, and there was a certain kind of a muscular diplomacy situation that had come in, and also the economic part was looking to take shape. The only part that probably was missed was the power sector, where we were not doing well, but the rest of it, of the economy, looked like we did well. Like the ministers like Gadkari had performed very well in the road sector, and there was a lot of improvement and expectation of the infrastructure. Then what hit was in between the demonetization, and that was not handled properly. Implementation was not very right, and what happened, we saw that the first hit to the economy happened post that, and 2017 was actually almost, I would say, a demonetization hit. Yes, electoral gains were there, and we cannot connect the electoral success with the demonetization. Only connection is people felt that it was basically, there was a kind of a feeling that is all done for the good of India. But in the long run it did not pay off, because that actually gave a hammer blow to the economy for poor implementation, not the concept itself. because I was not per se against the demonetization process, but I was per se against the methodology of the demonetization and the way they implemented it, and introducing a higher denomination note like 2000. So those were very, very key issues that were not handled, and it was done the way I would say in a manner which was arbitrary and haphazard, and that actually definitely harmed a good concept. Went completely fut, because it was Dr. Ambedkar who wanted the demonetization to happen. He felt that every 10 years you have to do a structured, I would say, devaluation of a currency through process of withdrawing the old and bringing the new, because it would help in actually removing the black currency, removing the certain, I would say, correctives in the economy, and automatically bring the valuation a little down. But what it does, it makes your exports competitive. It also cleans up the system. Those things are done every 10 years. It was organized fashion in which Dr. Ambedkar had written in his great thesis at the London School of Economics, which was titled The Problems of the Rupee. So, but that's the way. But nobody listened to experts like us at that point of time, because everybody was gung-ho. It has to be done. It's a great step. This is the way. And then we were warning that if it's not done properly, it will actually backfire. And that exactly happened. And it needed, a little bit control at a time. But instead of that, we parallelly brought another economic act, and it was done too quickly, and that was the GST. It became a grossly skewed tax, and even today we are struggling. The government is making corrections, but took a long time. Both of them together became a double hammer blow to the economic movement that the government had set in the first 3 years. So almost like what happened in the Manmohan Singh era, almost this happened. But then still people had faith. 2019, I again predicted that Modi would get a second round. I also predicted that there would be around 300 seats sought. Most of the experts around it agreed to that point. This was easier in 2019 to predict. But 2014 was very difficult. I predicted in 2013 August, when even Modi was not given a candidature. And his candidature was announced only in the month of September in the Goa Adhivesion. So the position, when I took it the right way, was different in 2014 and 2019, because I had already given my point in a 2017 interview, which you only conducted, where I said the dangers and the perils of losing out. And that is exactly what has happened today, and what I feared has exactly happened in the economy. And this unfortunately, while Prime Minister Modi was leading in one direction, I don't think the team pulled along with him. He did not put the weight. A lot of mistakes were committed. I don't want to name the ministers who made the mistakes in this interview, but definitely people just did not listen to good advice. People were just not ready to listen to critics of this economy, and all this resulted in a lot of negativity that finally came in. And we see, what happened is the economic part. I think there was a complete derailment of the economic part, and but there was no attempt to actually correct the course. So that attempt I saw missing. That intent might have been there, but a very solid attempt to hold it, control the economy, and then go forward and put it in the right track was completely missing. And I think the government tried to put up a brave face all the while, but when last quarter it's clearly come to the lowest, where we saw about the growth rate coming to about 4.5% for the GDP, and when the inflation is moving at the highest level. And other part is that, okay, some people will come and say still stock market was going up, a lot of things went up. No, it's stock markets go based on the bears and bull. The bears and bulls are speculative. They will invest in a limited amount of stock, and those limited stocks keep moving up and down, and they almost control the entire, I would say, weight of the economy, and that is not a clear indicator of the economy as such. In fact, it is what is happening to the agriculture sector, what is happening to the grassroots retail, what is happening to automotive, what is happening to the energy business, what is happening to these kind of sectors, the core industry, the cement, steel. If you don't sell flats, the houses don't sell, housing loans are not taking off. 100% it will impact ideas like sale of steel and cement, and construction material, building material, and also allied material. So what happens? It takes an overall hit from all around. Right. So the economic part, I don't think there is any proper guidance or any proper team that's working with Prime Minister Modi, and it's very important at this time that, in my opinion, even inside the Niti Aayog, which seems to be driving the entire agenda, is not to be done, because whatever they have said, or they have done, or they have taken the steps, doesn't seem to be proper, or it doesn't help the Prime Minister's objective of bringing the $5 trillion US dollar economy. And we must state here, we gave a roadmap on 22nd April how to go and which sectors to go for a $6 trillion economy by 2025.
25.
So my view is, I will talk about it a little later in the interview, but yes, that is at present derailed from the position of 2025. At least we have lost 2 more years now.
Right. Professor, you are always supportive on women's issues. What is your take on issues pertaining to crime versus women and heinous crime of rape?
See, this is the worst part of it. In between what happened, there was a focus, there was a media focus, and these a lot of crime against women, especially the crime of rape, had come forward. And it's very clear that this crime has increased phenomenally in the country. And suddenly, the change in the whole dimension, what has happened is that right now that situation has changed drastically. And why it is changing drastically? Because whatever is happening is suddenly gone, and there are other issues that have come in the front. There is no coverage. It's all kept quiet. The Nirbhaya case has not been, the people have not been hanged in the case, and there are many other cases. One such case I am also fighting for. So what's happening is and now there is a very big movement. I must announce on this channel that the movement started by ex-Star TV CEO and a lot of a set of good women around her, and her name is Ravina Raj Kohli, and the entire group, of excellent women. And now it's grown, and these people have come without any, I would say, they come voluntarily, and it's unbelievable that No Rape India, which is a Facebook group, is become 8,000 plus, and it will reach 10,000 people now. And so this situation, I am saying, is a very, 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 I would say, important thing to be worked upon. This basically the whole idea is that we must support such initiatives. We must fight against crime against women, and no economy can prosper. No economy can prosper without the participation of women, and we must ensure that they are respectfully in that zone of participation. And it is very important that we ensure that women are very safe in the process of the economy. Women are also participating in the economic process. Women are seen contributing to the GDP. A very interesting plan, because even a housewife's contribution to the economy must come. There must be some process, and I have also recommended a process, basically, that the computation of income of a husband who gives a check every month of a certain amount must be literally accounted for. That means whatever he contributes must be subtracted from his total I would say income, and then the computation of that income. So this could be one methodology in empowering the women who are not actually coming out in the conventional sector of employment, or they are not in the deployment in any way. So I think focusing on women's role in the GDP, empowering them, and bringing them more, I would say, into the economic diaspora and focus, and supporting them will probably reduce, and education for sure at the highest level will reduce the crime in a big way versus women, and an understanding that they are so important for the country. I would say we all went to Bhutan, we've seen an economy. Bhutan is completely an economy where women are empowered. It is the men who go to, after the marriage, to the place of their father-in-law. That means the woman's, I would say, father would be actually the one who looks for a, bridegroom for his daughter, and it's a very reversed economy. And see, a small economy in terms of size of 2.5 billion, but with of course only 750,000 people. But what happens? The power of the women and oriented towards I would say a women-oriented economy is today the carbon negative and a very powerful economy. I just wrote the book India similarly to India BRANDished. I wrote Bhutan BRANDished. It was launched on the Honorable 4th King's birth anniversary, 64th birth anniversary, on the 11th of November in Bhutan. And that gives a little insight into this beautiful country besides us, and best friend of India, doing great work, probably. And then inclusive growth, They have followed it. They have GNH, gross national happiness. So these are the issues that we must take forward. And there is no gross national happiness without women being part of that entire economic story.
Right. Now, what, in your opinion, is the way forward for the economy?
Exactly. Again, we come to the economy. So the questions that I did not answer before, I did not put my point earlier in this interview, I'm putting my weight behind those. See, the key issues is you must focus on the core sector. You have announced a 5 trillion. We say it can happen 6 trillion also, but now the timeline may not be 2024. 6 trillion may be 2026. Because I said 2025, but 26, 27, even if it happens in 26 or 27, a 6 trillion economy, that means 5 trillion by 2026, 6 trillion by 2027. I think we can then reach 13 trillion by 2031, 32. So that should be the roadmap. All of this, other issues do not matter to India. We must look at what's happening to China. China is today a $15 trillion economy with a 1.3 billion population. America is a 300 million population and it is a 21 trillion economy. So we must put our weight where it matters to take our people to higher aspects of, I would say, per capita wealth, and finally gross national harmony and happiness. So the word harmony is key to India. We must ensure that the harmony is settled back, and we must make everybody part of that story. And this should be the only and core focus of any government that wants to take India forward. And I am still, my part of looking at the India story is still there, and I personally believe that we can still make it. We can still make it, but may not be 2025, but still we'll be there by 2026, and by 27 we can probably hit the 6 trillion mark.
Right. How can the present turmoil, political turmoil and unrest be brought to normalcy?
I given one solution. See, one is pro CA, against CA, all that is there. Even constitutionally, I believe that the CAA is at conflict with the Article 14 definitely, and Article 15 as well, and also it is in conflict with this Mother Act, which is the the Citizenship Act of 1955. So looking at this, because you cannot discriminate, you cannot put, and some people have asked, no, it is only looking at the the people who are minorities who are being looked at in a different way, and they are not being treated properly in our neighboring economy. That's what people are talking about. But I would say that basically you must look at a very simple idea. And what is that simple idea? That if it is looking violatory, there is an opportunity. For example, the ethnic Baluchis, I'm looking at, and through this addressing both Prime Minister Modi and Amit Shah ji, a simple idea. Look at the Baluchistan or Baluchi people, whom we are very much clear that they are not being treated properly, and they are an ethnic group, definitely, and they look up to India, and like any other turmoil in the world, they are being harassed, decimated, plundered, looted, killed, maimed by Pakistan. So what was stopping us from including the Balochis, so that could actually make the entire CAA more inclusive? No other community in the world deserves more than them in the minority part, and who are Muslim minority, right? So that could have changed the whole equation of the act being not arbitrary or discriminative, as the critics have pointed out, and even we feel like that, So that is one. The other is the Tamils in Sri Lanka, and most of them are Hindus, so we must also have included. So if we have talked about Bangladesh, Pakistan, and definitely Afghanistan, so I think one was Baluchis, one good case, very good strong case was Baluchi people to be included, and the other was the Tamils. So probably with a softer heart, with what Atal ji taught us, कि empathy रखो, थोड़ा plural रहिए and सबको include करिए, looking at what Atal Bihari Vajpayee, the former Prime Minister, did. I think both Modi ji and Amit Shah have got the power enough to reconsider their position and make some changes, and that's it, and the whole thing can be done. It may have been passed in Parliament, but we can always include a couple of things here and look at it in a softer way, in an empathetic way, implement it, but be clear, and then the whole process take the country into confidence. You cannot start taking country into confidence after passing it in the Parliament. So that first flaw is there. A second flaw cannot start now, because now after everything is done, it's become an act or whatever it is. You must try to see that just because there is a two extreme positions, the country cannot be sent to this kind of conflict where people fighting against each other. This is not the India that the world would like to see. That's my point.
Great. What is India's emerging situation in the wake of US-Iran conflict?
See, this is a very important question. What has happened in the last 2 days is, the top military commander of Iran, Hassan Soleimani, was literally finished off by the US. They targeted, they fired the missiles or rockets when he was in Iraq in the airport, Baghdad International Airport, and he was killed. And he was a top military commander and one of the absolutely top person close to the ruling in Iran, and that is Hassan Rouhani and team, and also the clergy over there, and definitely the spiritual leadership over there. So this is something which, and he was seen as a leader he was the military commander but seen as a leader in the Middle East. Two important points to be mentioned, that Iran has been fighting the ISIS for sure, and they have been supporting the Assad regime. The West and the NATO forces don't like, but what is happening, they are the ones who are fighting the ISIS. So I can't understand, is America, by killing the military commander of Iran, in a way supporting ISIS? That's a question I want to know. And the second thing is, the first people who jumped to support America were the Pakistanis, and they are the biggest sponsors of global terrorism, exporting it from their country. And this has been our situation. So now India has to be very careful. What is India's loss? The only country that could have given crude to us, especially with the situation that Iraq is in, very bad situation, was Iran, and that crude was in rupee. So the Saudi crude comes to us in dollars. So now, if the Iranian crude does not pass to the Gulf of Hormuz, and the blockage happens, the big loser in this whole Iran-US conflict is India. No other country will lose that much as India. And the biggest gainer, because of the crude sale and at a very high price coming in dollar terms from Saudi and other sources which are closer to America, will be India. So our forex reserves of $450 billion already. The weightage of the forex reserves is no good, because we have to keep a lot for the crude oil reserves. So almost 300 billion will be used for the crude. Rest of the 150 billion goes towards our payment of the loans. So it doesn't look good for us in this situation.
Right.
So I feel we must be very careful, and if more pressure will come on India that we don't deal with Iran, and that is where I wish we see our interest rather than the US interest. US interest is not keen to us. We have taken such decisions. See, when the Israeli issue came and voting for Palestinian came, India voted in favor of Palestine. So if India could do that, why we cannot tell Mr. Trump and company that no, we have our interest and we'll continue to import as much of the crude from Iran. And we must be very careful in this situation. Plus, we are developing the Chabahar port, which is definitely the only counter to what China is doing on the other side. And that's the only way we can balance and work with China also, unless until we have a strong opposite position, which is Chabahar. And Chabahar is very important for us to land in the future gas, because an underwater sea pipeline between India and Oman should be our way forward, not the TAPI. So there are a lot of, I'm not announcing all these things in a big way here, but all these consideration makes Iran a very important country. And let me tell you, it is foolish of Trump and his complete lack of understanding that what he has said now, that we are free to, if Iran takes any counteraction, then we are free to attack cultural centers of Iran. My God. This is the most stupid statement on the planet. It cannot come from an American president. And with this, I want to say, let us have some balance. Let us keep India cool and peaceful. Let's work towards peace, because already the world peace is going to be disturbed further, and the biggest loser on the economic front and therefore on the national front will be India if we don't keep our house in order at this time, because the world situation has already been spoiled by what Trump did unilaterally just a few days back, because he feels that he can win the election by doing this. Winning elections don't matter. What matters is what you set after that. If this kind of a war is set across the whole world, I'm telling you, then the whole world is burning, and that is not the position that me as Professor Iyer wants. I would say we must cool down, and even within India, I think all the sides must take a long breath, sit together, and I request through this interview both Prime Minister Modi and our Home Minister Amit Shah to kindly take a larger and more considered view and go forward, you do implement what you want to do, but have a little empathy and open up. We need to work together. We need to now focus on economy, not on all these issues. These issues are not key. More important issues, the economy. It is in very precarious condition. It is I always say it is on the border of a gorge and looking down into the gorge, and we are at the edge, absolutely precariously perched there. So we must draw back and draw it back and bring it up. With that, I think we should
thank you.
say thanks to everybody.
Yeah, thanks to everybody, and thanks to Professor Iyer for being with us on this exclusive Infra TV show. Thank you very much.